Tonight we're running on the right track. I know we never gonna look back. Oh, I just wanna have a good time. Call me whatever, 'cause I'm up for anything like that. Oh no, we don't wanna do slow-mo, so tonight we just let go. To the beat in the street, every freak out singing like.
Hello, it's time to get started on another week of dinner inspiration. And to get started, I am just chopping up some of this smoked sausage into bite-sized pieces. I'm also slicing up some green onions and some cabbage and some peppers. And I'm also going to add a little rice to the skillet meal. And this is going to be just a one-pot meal, one dish wonder, if you will. So I added some tomatoes with green chilies. I'm adding some dry rice right into the pot with everything else and some minced garlic. I'm going to pour in about a cup of water. And then I'm going to add all of my cut up veggies right on top so that everything can steam from the bottom up and the rice will get cooked and the veggies will get softened and all of that cabbage will wilt down, as you can see right here. I did cook this with the lid on just to keep all of that nice steam held inside so that it can work on getting everything cooked up inside the pan. In the end, I hit it with some crushed red pepper because that's what we like. And then we had some pickled beets on the side. And here is a closer look at our cabbage dinner. Moving on to dinner number 2, I'm making one of my husband's favorite meals, cube steak and mashed potatoes. And I'm just putting some more oil into the bottom of the frying pan and then just adding those cube steak and then just seasoning them with some garlic powder. In a separate pan, I'm heating up some water and some butter for instant mashed potatoes and some peas, buttered peas on the side as well. Just cooking up those cube steaks until they're cooked all the way through. I added 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup and then a packet of Lipton soup mix. And then I'm just going to stir that around until it all gets incorporated into that liquid. I did add more minced onions just because we wanted that extra oniony flavor. And so I'm just going to move them and flip them until everything is coated and incorporated into the little bit of liquid that was in the pan from the meat. And then once I get that all mixed together, I put the lid on and then just let that steam do the rest of the cooking for me. These are the potatoes that we had, super easy and quick. And so here is what those cube steak look like in the end. I had a couple of sliced tomatoes on the side of mine, and that was our delicious dinner for our second night of the week. Good morning. It's 8 o'clock on Tuesday. Early. I'm tired. I still have my morning voice. I'm getting dinner ready in the crock pot because, like I said, it's Tuesday, which means I work late today. And so we're doing a crock pot meal. I'm going to put these country pork ribs, I guess that's what they're called, into the crock pot and just cover them with some barbecue sauce. Doesn't get any easier than that, and it's gonna go so fast, so don't blink or you might miss it. And I'm doing 2 packs of these ribs in my crock pot because I don't know how many people are going to be eating today, and I'll most likely have some of these when I get home from work tonight at 8:30. I don't always like to eat that late, so I don't know if I will or not, but I will most definitely have leftovers if I don't eat ribs tonight. Ooh, that was a fat one. And anyway, look at all that on there. That's a lot of fat on that one, but that'll melt down into a nice flavor for these ribs. There we go. Got them all in there. I just need to wash my hands. Okay, I got my hands all washed up, and now I'm just gonna put some seasoning in the crock pot with these ribs. I'm doing some onion powder and some garlic powder. Then I'm just gonna pour on some Sweet Baby Ray's. I gotta remember that the garlic powder comes out of this container super fast, but it's okay because we like garlic, so no problem. And I'm just using this one smallish bottle of barbecue sauce for all of these ribs. That's because my husband doesn't really like them too saucy. So let's just get that all over each of the ribs so that when it does get warmed up in the crock pot and heated up, it'll just start to melt and kind of ooze through the pot. And these ribs are going to make their own natural juices. So you saw all that fat on there, so that'll all turn into a liquid most likely. And then this barbecue sauce will just mix in with all of the juices and have such a good flavor. It won't be really thick and sticky sweet like when you grill them. It'll just kind of seep into the meat and give it a good flavor, and that's what we like. I love country ribs in the crock pot. It's one of my favorites, so looking forward to coming home to this tonight. And I've got my lid on. Just gonna turn it on high for now until I go to work, because this crock pot is super hot. Like, I cooked a whole meal on the warm setting the other day. So to me, warm is like low, low is like high, and then high is like crazy hot. Anyway, that's it. These are going to cook all day, and then I will just set out something for them to make on the side, maybe like some macaroni and cheese because they like that, a veggie if they want it, but who knows, they may or they may not. But they do have the ribs that'll be ready for them for later. So dinner is done. That is it. It is 8:04, so it took me a whole 4 minutes to get dinner ready for tonight. After a couple hours, this is what the ribs are looking like, and this is the point where I turned them down on low and let them finish cooking. Much later that day, we had the rest of our dinner. It was many hours later, but anyway, we just made up some Kraft macaroni and cheese and some broccoli. I just put some water in the broccoli and cook it out until it gets nice and charred in the skillet, and this is how everything turned out in the end. This was a really simple and easy meal to basically not even have to cook because the crock pot did it for me. On this day, Bill had a special request for cheesecake, as he said he had a sweet tooth this day. So this is such an easy recipe, and I will link it. Basically, you just put all of the ingredients together in a bowl and then whip it up and then pour it into a pie crust and chill. It can't get any easier than that. But like I said, I will add the recipe in the description box so that you can see the recipe that was my inspiration. I am getting this ground beef seasoned up so that I can make some Juicy Lucy's, which are burgers stuffed with American cheese. So all I'm adding to this ground beef is some steak seasoning, and I'm just using this stuff right here from Save-A-Lot. I do actually think that this seasoning is really, really good. It's one of my favorites. Nothing fancy, and it's super cheap. I'm just gonna get this seasoning all mixed in, and I'm just using my hand because it's the easiest way to get it mixed really well. And I want them to be seasoned really good, as you can tell, because I'm adding a whole lot of seasoning. So don't judge, it's just what I'm doing. All right, so try not to inhale the seasoning when you're putting these together. And I'm almost there, but not quite. Now I am doing 3 pounds of ground beef, and I don't think that I'll be using this much meat for our burgers, but I will have some seasoned meat for another day if I don't use it. Okay, I really did inhale that. Anyway, this looks pretty good. Now I need to wash my hands. I know, silly, I need to wash my hands so that I can make patties, but I have to. It's just the way I am, I guess. Okay, I've got my hands washed up, and now I'm going to work on getting some patties made. And you want to do them thin. You want to do 2 thin patties so that you can press them together, and you want to make them kind of big because you're going to seal them around the edges. So these are not going to be real pretty. I may have overworked my meat and got it a little too warm with my hands, but we'll see. Maybe I'll stick them in the fridge real quick, because they do work better if your meat's a little bit cold. That's a big one, but like I said, I need that room so that I can get all that cheese in there. And maybe I'll just show you how to make one and then do the rest off camera, because I'm gonna have to move them around and that could get really boring for you on your end. So let's see if they're about the same size. I'm gonna add a little more to this one just so I know that it's gonna stretch and come together. And this is gonna be a really big hamburger, so I'm gonna have to work with it a little bit. I'm gonna set that right there for now. Press it down. My neighbors are gonna get loud with their cars, so I'm gonna turn off my mic. The recipe for these burgers specifically calls for American cheese, so I was very happy about that. I mean, we have that just sitting around in the fridge, right? So didn't have to make a special trip for a special kind of cheese, didn't have to shred anything or slice anything, and I decided that that burger was just way too big, so I trimmed it down, and then I continued to make the rest of the burgers, and it calls for 2 pieces of cheese in each burger, and that is a really good call, because if any leaks out, then you still have plenty of cheese in there. I did have one that was leaky, but we did kind of luck out and all of the cheese stayed in the rest of them. You want to just make sure that you're getting them closed up really well, whatever way you decide to do it. And there's many tips on how to get a good seal on your burgers, but that's really important. So these 2 do not have cheese and these 3 do, because not everybody in our house eats cheeseburgers. And so here I am making my burger and getting it all ready for you to see how they turn out. I'm so excited at this point. You just don't know. And so I just put some mayo on my bun, and look at that. You can see the juice just kind of oozing out of it as I'm putting it in the bun. And sorry, I could have done a better job and been a little neater when I was cutting my burger, but that's just how I am. So as you can see, my knife is not coming out clean, which is a good sign that all of that juice, the juice and the cheese are nice and oozy on the inside. So here we go. Look at all that cheese lava. This was such a good burger. So much fun too, but such a mess. So if you don't like messy food, this may not be the burger for you, but it definitely was the burger for me. And we just served these burgers up with some Doritos and called it a quick and easy and fun dinner. Speaking of easy and also budget-friendly meals, I am making pasta alla Gricia. So I have been wanting to make carbonara for some time now, and so I don't generally add the egg, and basically that's the only difference between pasta alla Gricia and carbonara. So I'm getting started by cooking up some bacon, and I'm doing a lot of bacon because I know my guys and they love bacon and they're going to want tons of it in their pasta. So after I get all of that pasta browned up, I'm going to remove about half of it because I want to have some to top, some crispy bacon to put on top, because what's in the pasta is going to get all softened and kind of melt in your mouth. But I added about 3 cloves of garlic to this bacon and grease. I'm taking some of the grease out and putting it in my green beans, and I did remove a couple of the ladles and just got rid of it. So here I am putting some ladles of the pasta water into my bacon, and that's going to make a nice starchy sauce. And then I'm adding the pasta directly into that and just kind of mixing it all in. And so after that, I'm just going to bring my pasta water over, and I'm going to keep adding more water to it as needed, so that I'm just going to keep an eye on it and make a nice sauce. And if it looks like it's getting too thick, then I'm just going to add more pasta water. And then the last ingredient that goes in is pepper. Yum. I love black pepper. So this is just the perfect dish for me. You know, it's got all the things I like. It's got cheese, bacon, pasta, and pepper in it. And that's it, basically. So I'm just mixing in that cheese, and I'm going to end up using the whole container. And I wish I would have had more just for topping. And so I do add some fresh basil just for some color. And then the aroma is just so wonderful. This was a really, really good, comforting, budget-friendly dish. And here I just forgot that the camera was on, and so I just let it roll while we were making our plates. And here's mine with that crispy bacon on top and my green beans on the side. And my guys just really loved this meal, and it was so easy and budget friendly. As you can imagine, by the 6th night of the week, I was not in much of a mood for cooking. That happens sometimes, right? So Bill volunteered to cook some steak on the grill. So he went to the store and he picked up the steak. And while he was out doing that, I just cut up some of these really small white potatoes into quarters so that they would cook pretty fast. And then I'm just mincing a couple cloves of garlic and then putting that on top of those potatoes. And I'm going to cook these in the air fryer just to get them crispy and done in a hurry. So in my pan, I had some olive oil on the bottom. I guess I forgot to mention that, but I am just taking these potatoes and just kind of moving them around to get all of that oil incorporated into all the potatoes before I add some seasoning salt. I decided to keep it really simple with my seasonings and just use one bottle today. So just some simple, plain old seasoning salt. My husband just loves seasoning salt anyway, and I hardly ever use it. So lucky him that I was feeling lazy. And I'm also going to put some minced onion on these just because I did not feel like cutting up a real onion. And so this is what those potatoes look like after they came out of the air fryer. They were so good. And then our steaks on the grill, I just stopped by to say hello. And then we're back in the house getting our plates ready, and that's all that we did was steak and taters. And we topped them with some sour cream just to make them a little extra special. But other than that, that was just our simple dinner on our 6th night of the week. Now I am frying up some zesty hot sausage, and then I removed it from the pan, and in that same pan I'm adding a little bit of olive oil and some garlic. This is our 7th day of dinners, and I am making some white pizza on the grill. But to get the sauce going, I have some olive oil that I added to this pan, a couple cloves of garlic, and some half and half, and some Parmesan cheese. I'm just going to let that come to a bubble and then turn it back down, and it'll thicken right up into a nice sauce. And to get our flatbreads ready, I'm just opening up the package. I get these at Aldi's and I keep them in my freezer for such an occasion. These are thawed out. I got them out of the freezer last night. And so I'm just adding that white cheese sauce onto each flatbread, and I'm going to smear it around just like I would any other pizza sauce. And so this came to be because I did not have any regular pizza sauce, and Bill did volunteer to go to the store and get some, but I told him I would come up with something, and this is what we did. So after I get the white sauce down, then I'm just going to add some mozzarella cheese right on top of that. And then I will begin adding our toppings before we head outside to throw these on the grill. Now that we are outside and the pizzas are on the grill, I'm just cooking them over indirect heat. I do move these frequently so that the crust does not get burnt. And this is how they turned out. They were delicious for a pizza night without turning on the oven and heating up the entire house. That's it for this week's What's for Dinner, and we did veer off of our meal plan, but that is to be expected. We're just humans after all. If you enjoyed this, please consider hitting the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Tonight we're running on the right track.